one, you're live.
Okay, great. I am going to call to order the ADR Commission's quarterly meeting, January 25, 2024, 10:30 a.m. We've got a quorum present. We're missing a few people, but when I think Floyd Flippin is going to be with us, but he may be running a little late. Because Floyd is new, we will stop and introduce him to everybody. Jeff Ward, a new commissioner from Greenville, I believe, will be on. He is not with us today, had a conflict. We're having training for Floyd and Jeff tomorrow. You all will really like both of these guys. I mean, they are just super people, excellent mediators. I know Floyd way better than I do Jeff, but Floyd, great people. So welcome everybody. Let's just kind of roll right into our programming. Those of you, I mean, you've been around me as a commissioner, but I really like us to be efficient. I like to start on time. I like to end on time. I want to be professional and respectful with everybody and give everybody an opportunity to say what they're going to say, but please be respectful of everybody else's time when you give your reports too. So, Justice Tarwater, you got anything you want to say to us?
Just welcome. I'd like to reiterate what you said about Jeff and Floyd. These are two people that I know also. In fact, back in the day, Jeff and I actually had a case against each other. And he is, you'll like them both. They're both very accomplished, and they'll certainly add to the good work of our commission. And I'd like to thank John Tarpley for being the chair. Our meetings should be entertaining, and they should also be efficient. So that's good. And I'd like to say a particular thanks to Cindy and Sarah and Betsy and Chuck for agreeing to be reappointed, and thank you for your service. So it's great. So onward we go. Thanks.
Super. Thank you, Justice Tarwater. Okay, the next item on our list is the minutes from the October 2023 meeting. Is there a motion or any discussion on those minutes? If there is a motion, let me hear it.
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Lori Reed. Is there a second?
Second. It's
Okay, Cindy. Okay, I'm sorry, I couldn't see that. Okay, the motion has been made in second. All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Is that an aye from everybody or a?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Dana, let's move to the statistics for the Rule 31 mediator reports. Those are attachments 3 and 4 to your materials.
So the first attachment is your fourth quarter report. Rule 31 requires all listed mediators, when they conduct a mediation, regardless if it's completed or incomplete, they are to file a report. So for the last quarter, according to the report, we had 1,172 mediations reported and resolved, 483 not resolved. And then as you can see, you have 121 issues partially resolved. So for the quarter, we had 1,776 mediations reported. Looks like a very good completion rate of Rule 31. And then you had your year end. So for January 1 through December 31st, 2023, 7,565 Rule 31 mediation reports were filed in the mediator portal. And of those, 65.3% were resolved. If you go on down, you can see some other statistics. We have by court type. Looks like circuit court is the busiest when it comes to mediations last year. And then we also track through the report, you can see the fee type. How many of these charged a fee versus reduced fee versus pro bono. Rule 38 is the mediations that are not necessarily through a grant, but they do come through the PEMF fund. If you're curious about Rule 38s. And then finally, it tracks how many were in person. So as you can see last year, more than 50% of the reports showed mediations were still conducted in person. And that's our year-end report.
Any comments or questions on the year-end report? Okay, keep rolling, Dana.
And then you have we have the 2024 ADRC committee appointment list. That was attachment 5. If there's any corrections.
Dana and I discussed the committee appointments and we felt that the committees were rolling along pretty well. We needed a new chair of the Ethics Advisory Committee. Floyd Flippin has agreed to fulfill that role and we're orienting Floyd on that. Everything else is pretty much the same. We plugged in Jeff and Floyd in some other positions where we thought their talents were and moved from there. So thank you all for agreeing to be a part of those committees.
And then for business in this quarter, we would ask that at the end of the meeting that everyone stay on and work with us. We have lots of business to attend to this quarter, and we will hope to meet with you guys and get meetings set. And we thought maybe it'd be the best time just to grab everybody at the end, look at your calendar really quick, and get our meetings on set so we can then start with business. We have several things from last year that we need to pick back up.
Okay. Why don't you roll on into, do you need anything, are you ready for your staff report? Go for it.
So at the end of December, December 31st was the initial renewal deadline. And we had 1,305 active mediators. And as of December 31st, 48% of them had renewed. Rule 31 does allow an extension to March 31st. This is good. 50% of December is pretty good. We do send out reminders of the upcoming final deadline. And that's the biggie because if they do not renew, then they will be lapsed. But we are working. And I will say that if mediators have started their application and they've hit some glitches or they have some issues, if it goes past the deadline, we still work with them and let them renew if they've got an open application. But if you've not done anything and you can't reach us in June, that's where it's a little more difficult. The medical debt online dispute resolution pilot is going very well. We just finished phase 2. We tested approximately 800 cases. And of those cases, approximately 200 participated. We invite them to participate in the pilot to resolve their debt with Erlanger Hospital. So of that 800, 200, give or take, participated. And we had almost 30% settlement rate or resolution rate. Resolution means they either made their payment and paid off the debt or they entered into a payment plan. But I spoke with Erlanger representatives today and they feel this is very successful.
Right.
They're collecting at a rate of 30%, and the other 2 collection agencies that they use for non-pilot involved debt, they're collecting at about 6%. Now, it's a difference in the amount, but Erlanger says this is very successful. So our next step in the phase is we're going to present the pilot to the Midwinter Conference for the General Sessions judges. End of February, we will be presenting our results, and then we are looking to start adding more hospitals. And the goal is for this to go statewide and have it as an option to debt resolution in the state of Tennessee.
Super. Well, let me make one comment on the medical debt ODR pilot update. you notice on, item H2 on the agenda on page 5, there was, an online debt resolution committee mentioned. Those of you know that Steve, when he was chair of the committee, contributed mightily to this effort. I mean, Steve was really the committee's primary source of contact, and Dana and I talked and also talked to Justice Tarwater about this, that we really felt like that we needed a committee presence on this task force. I mean, these people are just working mightily, but they're doing great, but we just need to make sure that we are an ongoing part of that effort, and that the procedures are in place that are consistent with our practices. And the rules allow me as chair to appoint a non-member to the committee, and I am going to appoint Steve as our non-member representative to that committee because of his incredible background and his commitment to that project. Now, we also would really like to identify a couple of folks to serve on our committee with Steve. They don't have to do all of the work with the ODR pilot as Steve is doing, but to work with him and provide any guidance if we need it. And I'm just going to, just throw that out there. If anybody is interested, contact me after the meeting, shoot me an email that you'd like to do this, and we'll be happy to sign you up. But we felt like it was important for the continuity and just to ensure that we just wanted to make sure that these things were done correctly. Not that they're being done incorrectly now, but we wanted to keep the train on the right track. And so Steve has agreed to accept that appointment, and I'd like to appoint a couple of others and have another subcommittee that will report to us on a regular basis. So if you're interested after the meeting, just shoot me an email.
John, could you take 1 minute, or could somebody take one, or Dana, only a minute, and just run through with me how someone with a medical debt gets the help they need?
Okay.
And just so I can kind of understand it.
Okay, so a couple years ago, the AOC received a technical grant, and we had a digital portal built where Erlanger uploads debt cases of a certain amount, and then emails go out to as invites. It says, "Dear debtor, we would like to invite you to join this pilot program, and when you have debt with us, we'd like to work it out." You can work directly with us, or you can request a mediator. It's all asynchronous, which means it's done by texting or emails. You don't have to talk to people. It can be done 24/7. A mediator, we have a mediator pool of wonderful volunteer mediators, Rule 31 mediators, who will then join in the discussions and will do the mediation. We have digital forms, settlement agreements, and so the hospital can then engage the debtor. Easy way to educate, communicate, and work out the debt.
Okay, so if they request a mediator, who does that request go to?
The portal. So the mediators are in the portal, and when you hit request mediator, the portal automatically requests an available mediator. The mediators will say, "I'm available" or not. If you're not available, you don't get picked. Then the mediator gets an email that says you've been assigned. Do you want to accept the case or not? If you say no, it will pick another mediator. I serve as the pilot admin, so I can see everything on the portal. If there's tech issues, things like that. And so then the mediator begins to engage individually the hospital and the debtor and work through the mediation. And once the mediation is complete, then the hospital is allowed to wrap up the rest of the case.
Okay. I knew that it was working.
Yes.
I just didn't have a complete understanding of the mechanics, but what a great thing. What a great thing.
Yes.
Thank you.
Super. Thanks, everyone. Okay, let's move into our committee reports. Cindy, you are up first with the Communications Committee.
Great, thank you. And I apologize. I had to make a wild dash. And so I stopped off at home because I couldn't make it from the out east meeting to the downtown office. So if you hear dogs, forgive me. They'd like to participate too. So this is just my opportunity, first of all, to say thank you to Dana and Noel for helping get this publication out. It does honor Justice Lee, and there's some really wonderful articles in it, and we're very proud of it. And for those of you on this call, I will be contacting you for help in sort of coming up with other topics that might be of interest, that you think might be of interest to the readers, and, you know, just contributing. We have 2 other members on the committee, Lori and Sarah, but we also would love your help. So that's my report, and you'll be getting an email from us.
Cindy, one of the things when I looked at the committee list, I think would be helpful to all of the other committee members is if you could give us what I call a publication schedule for,
Yes.
For the newsletters,
Uh-huh.
along with article deadlines, just kind of build in the timeline as you would go through the year for each of the quarterly newsletters, just to make sure we're on track.
Great. Happy to do that. Thank you.
Super. Thank you. Sarah, tell us about the Pro Bono Mediation and Advisory Joint Committee.
We have nothing to specifically report right now, but one of the primary things that we've been working on and made progress on is really kind of uniting the community mediation centers across the state to both support the smaller centers and, you know, with the ultimate aim, of course, of providing pro bono, increasing pro bono mediation available to the rural counties, to all the counties of the state. I mean, that's the long game, of course, is to ensure that pro bono mediation is more available statewide. So one of the major triumphs of last year, let's say, is that we were able to come up with a standard definition, in a way, of what a Tennessee Community Mediation Center is. We are still in the process of now collecting all the information from the existing centers so that we will have, if you will, kind of almost an application and a vetting process. Again, so we sort of standardize, maintain quality control, and then it'll be more easy to collect data. You know, you may have noticed there's no, in the ADR report, there was no data on the ADR work that the community mediation centers have done statewide. And, you know, the CMCs are doing well over 1,000 cases, resolving over 1,000 cases a year. All of this will continue to be more visible, more transparent, and better supported because of the work that we're doing.
Okay, super. Any questions of Sarah? Sarah, I hope you'll take the opportunity to prepare some written materials for our newsletters so that all of our mediators around the state can hear your group. Okay, Rule and Policy Review Committee, Betsy Meadows. We have an attachment in our materials, number 6, the petition. And remember, we discussed the petition at the last meeting, and I think the general consensus was that we needed some more specificity or some standards to set forth in the petition. So Betsy, talk to us about your progress on that and anything else that may be said.
Well, we need to address it at our next meeting. Chuck has proposed some language that I think is very helpful in regard to the discretion of the ADRC in considering applications. Justice Tarwater very astutely suggested that you probably need it a little bit more. We need to hone in a little bit more on the language to give some guidelines for the discretion. And so we're going to be working on that. Steve, I think at one time had suggested looking at Rule 60. And anyway, Chuck has put together some language, so we'll be considering that at our next meeting. Hopefully have the petition drafted and in more final format within the next few months. And then the only other thing, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Is the target for you all to have something ready for us to consider at our next meeting?
I'm not sure we've set a target, but I would think that would be a reasonable target. Yes, for sure.
Okay, that'd be super. If you could have something, I mean, not to rush you, if it takes longer, we understand, but we want to get it right.
Yeah,
Most importantly, but if we've got something just to kind of give us a target for our next meeting, that'd be super.
yeah, I don't think that'll be an issue, especially thanks to Chuck and his proactive approach to this. And the only other thing that I've got to report is that we were working on revising the policies, getting rid of some that no longer apply and consolidating the policies so that they're a little bit more relevant and current.
What's your timeline for that, Betsy?
I can't even remember, Dana. How far through those policies are we?
We are finished with the current ones, and then our next tab on the spreadsheet was suggested new policies. So
Okay.
that's what we had, so that along with the, because Justice Tarwater's suggestion that we needed, to develop some procedure or standards for the discretion petition, what the discussion was is that's probably going to generate some new policies.
Yeah,
Not
It will.
necessarily put it in the rule, but policies to guide the committee on how to exercise that discretion. So we're at that point right now.
so probably the next quarterly meeting is not realistic for finalizing, but certainly for having some suggestions.
Maybe our third quarter meeting, was that fair for the revision project to be presented for consideration?
I would think so.
Okay, super. So we'll be hearing a lot from you and your committee, Betsy. Thank you for your hard work. Any questions for Betsy? Okay, Dana, will you tackle items C1 and 2?
Yes, so we have 2 grievances pending from 2023. The next step is the committees have been appointed. The subcommittees were appointed last year. We just need to set those for discussion and the committees to make recommendations. And that's what we expect to do in the next quarter.
Okay. What about the ethics advisory? Okay.
We have one pending request. Mark Harwell has been appointed to lead that committee. He has provided me some February dates he would like for the subcommittee to meet. And we're going to work after this meeting with the rest of the committee to see if they're available. But he is ready to set the meeting date.
Super. So what you should be gathering from this is that our next quarterly meeting is going to be a busy. We'll have information from Betsy's committee on the proposed petition to amend Rule 31. My guess is that the 2 grievances and the Ethics Advisory Committee will also be reporting at that time regarding this. I'd really like for us to be able to knock out the 2 grievances and the Ethics Advisory opinion pretty timely. Any questions on those issues? Training and education, Marcus.
Well, good morning, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. Just wanted to say thanks to Dana and Noel and the rest of AOC for all their hard work to help all the commissioners with their committees and all the issues that they're tackling. And also just want to say thank you to Linda Seeley and Chuck Hill for all their hard work involved in our committee. Got 2 items to talk about. The first item is the 2024 ADRC workshop and a planning update. And with that, I'll yield to Dana to provide that update.
So we met earlier this month to discuss, of course, the 2024 workshop. And we are looking, one of the things we'd like to put the commission on notice of is generally this workshop has been held the second weekend of October. And that coincides with the AOC's Pro Bono Month, and there's a lot of activities going on that month. It tends to be the week of fall break for the entire state of Tennessee, middle school, grade school, college. And so what we have a lot of is, I'm gonna be out of town. Are you gonna do this on demand? I really would like to come. Are you going to do it again at a different time? So we were suggesting maybe the 1st of November as the new date. Is that? Like, so the first weekend of November. So if you want to put a hold on that. And we are working with, we've used Lipscomb, which was wonderful last year. We've also used Belmont. So it'll be what's available. So we've reached out to Belmont and Lipscomb, and they don't have their activity calendar set yet. So just, open to any feedback, but we're just thinking that might be a much better timeframe, a date for everybody.
We talked about these, the seminar or the workshop, and really felt like it had a great base, a huge following, but that it could be so much more if it could be a little bit more accessible. And we really, the October date seemed to be one of the primary reasons that people were not able to attend the seminar. So we wanted to do it before the end of the year rush, and certainly before the Thanksgiving holiday. And so we thought tweaking the date slightly and putting it into early November might be the fix to that. And then we got some complaint. Where were we last year? Lipscomb. We got some complaints on the space at Lipscomb, and everybody loves the Belmont space, but we really, we've had good luck with some of the space at Lipscomb. So we've thrown it out to both of them to see what's available, and hopefully we'll have some suitable space at a great date to really attract even more people.
May I ask, what were the complaints about the space?
That building is not generally where conferences are held. So what they gave us for what we consider the big space, where we did the panel, did the ethics panel, it was just very crowded at the bottom. So we
I
couldn't
agree.
set up well, and we had some sound issues. As you recall, some of the speakers were by Zoom. And then when we recorded it, that was in the surveys, that was the only thing. All the surveys, it was 4 to 5 stars. Everybody that commented loved the content. They loved what was presented. The only complaint was the sound. So,
Yeah.
and we did have more attend online virtually than in person, but we had more in person this year than we did last year. So we're cognizant of that. So we have asked Lipscomb, to go back to, I think it's the Ezell Center, which is a conference center, and that's what it does. So we're looking for both. And if you've got ideas, I know the training committee and Noelle and I, if you've got some speakers or some ideas, go ahead and send them to us, and we will submit them to the training committee as well.
Okay, tell us Marcus, about the training waiver request.
Sure. And thank you again, Ms. Schmidt.
Mhm.
The 2 training waiver requests, the committee met on January 8th to review these applicants. First applicant, ID 163706, which is attachment 9. The applicant is applying for a civil listing. The applicant is seeking a waiver of Rule 31 training requirements for the listing. Applicant submitted a certificate of completion from a non-ADRC approved trainer, along with a very detailed course description. The committee determined that the training documentation was substantially equivalent to Rule 31 requirements. So the committee made a recommendation to approve the training waiver. Are there any questions or concerns before I ask for a motion? All right, is there a motion to approve the recommendation of the Training and Education Committee for this applicant?
Motion to
moved.
approve. Second.
Right. Thank you very much. All parties in favor of applicant 163706 being approved for civil listing, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Are there any nays? All right, so moved. And the second applicant, applicant ID 162429, which is attachment number 10. The applicant is applying for a family listing with a domestic violence designation. The applicant is seeking a waiver of Rule 31 training requirements for the DV designation. Applicant submitted long-term experience in lieu of training as a basis for the training waiver requests. The committee took that information and we made a recommendation to approve the training waiver. Are there any questions in regards to the recommendation? All right, is there a motion to approve the committee's recommendation?
So move.
Second.
Is Thank you. All parties in favor of approving applicant 162429 for family listing and domestic violence designation, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, are there any nays? All right, so moved.
Okay,
And-
does anybody have any questions of Marcus about the work of his committee, either the workshop or the training waiver request? Marcus, thanks for all the great work you all do.
Anytime.
Let's move to the credentials committee. We've got a lot of things going on there, and I have to apologize to Lori. We got in one situation last week, which will be the first item on the list, and we felt like that we could make an internal decision, but I thought it might be more appropriate for it to go through our committee structure because we were meeting so quickly. So Lori, thanks to you and your committee for handling item number 1. And why don't you just take it away and go through these things?
Thank you. I am first going to apologize for previous technological issues. So I am being old school today and I'm in the office. I'm at the meeting and you can hear me. So I'm going to tell you that.
And she's not snowed in.
And I have a voice. Okay, so the first item on the agenda for the Credentials Committee is applicant 151103. And that's part of your attachments today, number 23. This listed mediator was suspended by the VPR. And according to Rule 31, and he also did not notify us. So that is automatic suspension by Rule 31. And the committee did meet not in person but we did an email vote and reviewed all of the documents. And our recommendation is for suspension of this mediator. And Dana has already drafted a letter that would go out, and obviously this mediator has appeal rights that will go into effect as well. So I'd like to see if there's first of all, is there any discussion about this? It's very unfortunate, but we have to deal with these. Is there any discussion? Okay, is there a motion to suspend this mediator?
This is Cindy, so moved.
Thank you. And
Second.
And just to clarify, we would be suspending the mediator for the length of time that the BPR suspends the
It's him. Right.
attorney. Yes, yes. Okay, all those in favor of suspension of applicant 151103. It's not really an applicant, but that's the
Yeah,
number
it's the
you
way the
gave,
portal
person.
identifies
Yes.
mediators, so in lieu
Right.
of confidentiality, we just,
Exactly.
everyone has an applicant
Yeah.
ID.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Is anyone opposed, say nay. So moved, thank you. Motion passed. The second item on the agenda, there were 53 new Rule 31 mediator applications. Our committee met and reviewed them all, and 39 of those applications are recommended for for approval without dispute. Those are in attachment number 11. And I was going to ask if there was any discussion about any of those applicants. If not, is there a motion to approve the 39 applicants without dispute?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the 39 applicants that are on attachment number 11, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Thank you. The next item deals with applicants who have training waiver requests. These two applicants met all of the training, or excuse me, met all of the other application requirements. And we were waiting for training. So applicant number 163706 is attachment number 9. This applicant is applying for a civil listing. And you all just recently voted to approve this applicant's training waiver. And so our committee recommends approving this applicant for approving this applicant. Is there any discussion about that? Is there a motion to approve applicant 163706?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor of approving this applicant, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed, say nay. Motion carries. The second applicant dealing with a training issue applied for a family listing, number 162429. That's in your materials, number 10, attachment number 10. This applicant met all of the other everything else with the applicant's requirements were met, and we just were waiting for the training approval, and you just approved that. So is there any discussion about approving this applicant 162429? Is there a motion?
I make the motion.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor of approving applicant 162429, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed, say nay. Thank you. So the next 12 applications that we're going to discuss had disciplinary history. And although it's somewhat voluminous, especially for some of the applicants, our committee reviews those and goes over those and makes sure that they are what the main word in the Rule 31 is suitable for the practice of mediation. So we'll start with applicant 164163. That applicant's information is provided in attachment number 12. The applicant is applying for a general civil. The disciplinary actions on his law license occurred, and so we Dana and Noel reach out to them and ask for an explanation. And it's always really good when we receive information to explain. That helps us make our decision. This applicant did provide a response to assist us. We determined there was sufficient information to determine this applicant is suitable for the practice of mediation, and we recommend approval. Is there any discussion about 164163? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. This is Cindy.
Second.
All those in favor of approving 164163, say aye.
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 Is anyone opposed? Thank you. Applicant 164219 is applying for a dual listing with a DV designation. The applicant had formal actions noted on the law license, disciplinary history. The applicant provided a response to assist us. We reviewed those actions and we found there was sufficient information to determine that the applicant is suitable for the practice of mediation. We recommend approval. Is there a motion?
So moved.
second,
First of all, was there any discussion? Okay, sorry. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
aye,
Is anyone opposed? Say nay. Thank you. Applicant 163794 is applying for a family listing. There were interactions with the licensing board. The applicant provided a response. We reviewed the details of the response and determined there was sufficient information to show that the applicant was suitable for the practice of mediation. We recommend the approval of this application. Is there any discussion? Is there a motion?
so move,
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving 163794, say aye.
Aye.
aye,
Anyone opposed, say nay. Thank you. Applicant 163723 is in your materials as attachment number 15. The applicant's applying for a family listing. There were disciplinary actions noted on the law license disciplinary history. The applicant provided a response to assist us in making a recommendation. We reviewed those details and determined there was sufficient information provided to determine the applicant is suitable for the practice of mediation. We recommend approval. Is there any discussion? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
second,
Thank you. All those in favor of approving applicant 163723, say aye.
Aye.
aye,
Anyone opposed, say nay. Thank you. Applicant 158108 is in your materials as attachment number 16. The applicant is applying for a dual listing. There was disciplinary actions on the law license disciplinary history. The applicant provided a response to assist us. We reviewed the details and determined there was sufficient information provided to determine the applicant is suitable for the practice of mediation. We recommend approval. Is there any discussion? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
second,
Thank you. All those in favor of approving applicant 158108, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed, say nay. Thank you. Applicant 163690 is in your materials as attachment number 17. The applicant's applying for civil listing. Disciplinary actions were noted. And the applicant did provide a response to assist us. The committee reviewed the details of the disciplinary action and determined there was sufficient information provided to determine the applicant is suitable for the practice of mediation. We recommend approval. Is there any discussion? Is there a motion?
so move,
Second.
All those in favor of approving applicant 163690, say aye.
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 aye,
Anyone opposed, say nay. Thank you. Applicant 164279 is in your materials as attachment number 18. This applicant is applying for a family listing. Disciplinary actions were on the law license history. The applicant provided a response to assist us. We reviewed the details and determined there was sufficient information provided to determine the applicant is suitable for the practice of mediation. We recommend approval. Is there, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
aye,
I'm sorry, I need a motion first. I'm going too fast. Sorry. Motion, and is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
aye,
Applicant 163799 is in your materials as attachment number 19. The applicant's applying for a family listing. The applicant has disciplinary actions noted on his CPA license disciplinary history. The applicant provided a response to assist us in making a recommendation. We reviewed the details of the disciplinary action and determined there was sufficient information provided to determine that the applicant is suitable for the practice of mediation. We recommend approval. Is there any discussion? Is there a motion
So
Motion
moved.
to approve.
and second
And
at the
second,
same time?
absolutely.
All those in favor of approving 163,799, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed, say nay. Thank you. Applicant 164102 is in your materials as attachment 20. This applicant is applying for a dual listing plus DV designation. There were disciplinary actions noted on the law license disciplinary history. The applicant provided a response to assist us in making a recommendation. We reviewed those details and determined there was sufficient information provided to determine this applicant is suitable for the practice of mediation. We recommend approval. Is there any discussion? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor of approving this applicant, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed, say nay. Thank you. Applicant 164214 is in your materials as number 21 attachment. The applicant is applying for family listing. There were disciplinary actions noted, and so the applicant did not provide a response to assist us in making a recommendation. We did not have sufficient information to determine this applicant's suitability for practice of mediation. We recommend to defer the applicant for 1 year. Is there any discussion? Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor of deferring this applicant 164214 for 1 year while we attempt to receive additional information, say aye.
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 Is anyone opposed? Say nay. Thank you. Applicant 163702 is in your materials as exhibit attachment 22. This applicant's applying for general civil listing. There were 2 open disciplinary actions on her law license disciplinary history. The applicant did not provide a response to assist us in making a recommendation. Committee did not determine if this applicant was suitable for the practice of mediation, so we recommend to defer this applicant for 1 year as well. Is there any discussion? All those in, is there a motion to defer?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor of deferring applicant 163702 for 1 year, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed, say nay. Thank you.
Wow, that was quite a report. Thank you, Lori, and thank you for the efficiency with which you delivered all the information and the deliberation of the committee. Let's look at item H, proposed committees. When Dana and Mary Noel and I met, by the way, Noel's first name is Mary, as in Christmas, and we met to talk about kind of issues that were on people's minds. I have this real bias that that commissions like this need to serve the people who are who form the backbone of this commission, and that if there's issues out there that we need to look at, maybe there's some additional things that we need to take a look at. One was the online debt resolution committee, and we addressed that earlier. The first thing on the list is what I call the Med-Arb committee. And this has come to me several times. And by the way, just by way of background, how I look at, I'm not a big fan of changing things for the sake of having something change. But if there's a reason to change, I first would like to look at it, and then we can make a recommendation if we need to do that. And frankly, I don't know that anyone is sure that we need to make a change on this, but we've heard a lot of static about this issue. Several mediators in civil context they go through the mediation process, and at the end of the mediation, the Rule 31 mediator is asked, can you just change your tune and become an arbitrator on this and resolve this issue? Well, clearly, our rules as they are drafted do not allow a Rule 31 neutral to do that, period. I mean, it's not sanctioned. But the question has come from several sources. Can you look at this and see what you think? And Mark Harwell has agreed to chair a committee. Dana has she's working with her contacts in other states to see if this issue has arisen. And, frankly, is this a spark in the, a spark that just kind of a real flash in the pan, or is this something that we need to do some more study on? So we're just going to get some information only at this time on this particular issue. I had one other thing I'm going to add to the list. There seems to be, and I don't know if angst is the word, but we refer to mediators. Almost every mediator I know refer to themselves as a Rule 31 certified mediator. And then we all say it's a Rule 31 listed mediator. And I think that I would like to ask a couple of folks if you will look at this and see what the genesis of this is in our rules. And is this a distinction that is important, or is it a distinction without a distinction? Because I know in the mediator community, I don't know anybody that refers to themselves as Rule 31 certified other than people on this commission. But everybody else that refers to themselves as 31 listed, they all call themselves certified by Rule 31. So I'm going to ask a couple of you if you will look at that and kind of give us your thoughts on those issues. And if there are any other, what I call maintenance type issues like that we need to take a look at, let me know and we'll be glad to do that. Does anybody have any questions on those things? Okay, well, we have, I really wanted our meeting to last an hour. We started at 10:30 and it's now 11:22. I'm going to go ahead and close quickly. Our next Rule 31 application deadline is April 1. Our next meeting is on Monday, not Tuesday, April 29 at 10:30. It's going to be by Zoom. If anyone wants to show up in person, there will be, we'll have a cup of coffee here for you if you want to come here. But otherwise, Zoom is perfectly fine. Does anybody else have any comments for the good of the order? Okay, well, I think we're adjourned. Thank you all for all of your hard work. I appreciate your input, and I will look forward to seeing you at the April 29 meeting. And I think that Noel